Hey guys, it's Joey Gaming and welcome back to another video here on the Joey Gaming YouTube channel. And happy Valentine's Day. And if you haven't yet, go out and ask that special someone if you have a special someone. I don't, unfortunately. So, yeah. I also want to announce that I'm also going live today as well on YouTube for a Valentine's stream. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and join the live stream. I'm going to have details about the live stream on my Twitter, on my Instagram page, and in my community tab. I also will have stuff linked in my Discord server as well. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and make sure you guys follow me on those as well. Without any further ado, let's get right into this video. Alright, so everyone has heard about the Ukraine situation right now, and if you don't know what's going on with Ukraine right now, then I'm actually kind of surprised. But if that's the case, then I'll tell you. So, a few weeks ago, like perhaps maybe a month ago, Russia has stationed a lot of troops. I believe around 100,000 troops near the Russian-Ukrainian border. And Russia's claiming that this is all war games, right? Where they're just doing drills and stuff. But a lot of people are not convinced about this, and they're actually planning on invading. Also, Russia's demanding that we deny Ukraine to NATO, which is an alliance, a defense alliance for the European Union against the Soviet Union, but now has evolved for Russia. Actually, you know what? It was NATO was actually made to counter Germany, but you know it shifted over to what's the word? To the USSR, and that thing is still going on to this day. Vladimir Putin is afraid that that we're gonna let Ukraine into NATO, right? And that means we would have NATO forces right outside of Russia, and Russia doesn't really want that, so I can understand their concerns too, you know. So Russia has been stationing a lot of forces, a lot of their troops outside of the Ukrainian border. They also have shipped blood, they shipped guns, they shipped materials, armored vehicles, and they're getting ready to invade. And in my last video, I said that there was a cyber attack, right? Warning all the residents of Ukraine to prepare for the worst, you know? Also, they said that in, I also mentioned that, what's the word I'm looking for? Russia. Oh, shoot, I can't even remember now what I was going to say. But yeah, long story short, Russia was preparing to invade. They have all these troops, they have all these weapons, they have all these vehicles, and they're now planning on invading. And, you know, I think everyone knows they're all planning to invade, you know. And while this is all happening, the U.S. and a few other countries have been sending guns and supplies and weapons to Ukraine, and they're also been urging their citizens to leave Ukraine as well. The United States has also evacuated their embassy, and embassy is a place where you go to, you know, do visa, passport stuff, right? It's like a part of the United States inside of another country. That's what an embassy is, right? And so the embassy in Ukraine has been evacuated. I think 80% of the personnel in the embassy in Ukraine has been evacuated, and the U.S. government is encouraging people to leave Ukraine as soon as possible because there is an imminent invasion coming soon. And Russia is claiming that this is war games, just war games, right? And that they're not planning to invade. But Russia's also demanding that, you know, Ukraine will never enter NATO, right? And NATO says that they can't really guarantee that. And so right now, so that's why we kind of have these tensions going on, you know. And on the past few weeks, the situation was getting worse and worse. You know, more troops are showing up, more weapons and more vehicles are showing up, right? And, you know, all this other stuff was going on too. Some of these, I think Poland is getting ready. Poland says that they're going to deploy troops to Ukraine, I think, or they have some sort of role in it, but they're really against Russia. The U.S. actually has sent troops as well. They sent over, I think, 15,000, and they recently sent in around another 3,000 to Poland. They're not going to directly send in troops into Ukraine, and this is what Biden said. President Biden says that He doesn't want to put U.S. forces inside of Ukraine because he says that if Russia does invade, that means the U.S. soldiers would have to shoot back, and that would cause a third world war. And I can understand what Biden is saying there, but I don't know. If I was the president, I would probably still put forces inside of Ukraine, if I'm being completely honest. But that's what Biden said. But President Biden says that that he's going to be stationing forces in Poland because, you know, to back up their NATO ally. So that's why that there's forces in Poland, but not in Ukraine. And I believe that if there was a war, I think we would definitely see. If there was a war, we would definitely see the United States getting involved, you know? And this is how I feel about the whole situation. Do I think this is going to cause a third world war? No, not really. I honestly don't think Vladimir Putin, like I said in my last video, Vladimir Putin is not dumb, you know? Vladimir Putin is not stupid. He knows that there's going to be a lot of consequences, that will happen if he decides to go ahead and invade Ukraine, you know? Like, I know there's China. China says that they're going to back up and financially support Russia. But, you know, they face sanctions too. And most of the world's going to cut off Russia because of this invasion, you know? In fact, when Russia invaded Crimea, which used to be a part of Ukraine back in 2014, the Russian economy went down because of the invasion, because they were facing sanctions. Russia will face more sanctions now, and they won't be able to trade, and we're going to cut them off from the global financial system, and they won't be able to trade anymore, and all that other stuff. And that's why China and Russia are kind of teaming up, you know, which does kind of scare me, but at the same time, it's not that big of a deal. Do I think this is going to cause a third world war? No, I think this is just a repeat of the Cold War, kind of, right? We might see Russia, right, saying stuff like, oh, we have nuclear weapons and stuff, but, you know, nothing's really going to happen, because even if Russia does decide to take over Ukraine, they're going to get sanctioned hard, and their economy will fall. If it gets worse than that, like they decide to invade NATO, right? If it does get involved worse, and, you know, Russia attacks a NATO member, let's say, I don't know, Poland, or maybe the Baltic states. I think the Baltic countries are part of NATO. I think so. I don't know. Let's say that Russia attacks a NATO country, right? They're going to war against that country. They're also going to war against NATO. So an attack on one is an attack on all. So if we see Russia, invade Ukraine, if we see Russia attack one of these NATO members, they're technically at war against the United States, right? And I guess you could say it's a war, but the U.S. would win. And let me tell you why the U.S. would definitely win a World War III scenario against Russia, right? So the thing with Russia is Russia doesn't really have a lot of allies, really. So does China, right? In a World War III scenario, let's have Asia, right? Let's have the powers as NATO and Asia, right? Central Asia. That's what we're calling the bad guys. Central Asia, right? So Central Asia, right? They're going to have China. They're going to have North Korea. They're going to have, let's put in Iran too, even though they're not really in Asia. Let's have all those countries together that support each other, right? Those are everyone in the Asian alliance, right? In NATO, there's a lot of members in NATO as well. Right, and it's not just NATO members that would back up the United States. It would you have also a lot of people in the United Nations as well that are going to back each other up. Like countries who are not part of NATO are going to join the war. Right, we're going to see like Australia, we're going to see Japan, we're going to see South Korea all involved in this war. Right, and they're not also Russia and China will have to be fighting with the United States. They also have to deal with all these other countries, right? In a conventional military with tanks, bombs, guns, soldiers, foot soldiers, no nukes involved, they would lose, you know? The only way that Russia and China have a chance is through their nuclear weapons and their hypersonic missiles, you know? And yes, that does provide a threat. However, the U.S. does have missile defense systems in place to shoot down missiles. They're not 100% accurate, but I guarantee you they can shoot down like 80% of the nuclear missiles that get launched towards the United States or at another country. You know, the hypersonic missiles, those scare me because because the whole idea of a hypersonic missile is that they're traveling so fast that even our current countermeasures can't knock them offline, you know? And that's why the U.S. is developing their own hypersonic missiles. But even then, Russia and China don't really have a lot of them, right? They have to use them sparingly, you know? I assume they don't have a lot of them. If they do, that's just, really scary, right? And even then, right, Russia, right, if we even get into a third world war where nuclear weapons are involved, we're going to see, like, U.S. Special Forces. We're going to see Special Forces of the United Kingdom, Special Forces in Australia, or whatever other Special Forces units. They're going to go and take those nuclear weapons off or take them offline so the enemy can't use them. Guarantee you when World War III starts, or if it does start, we're going to see, we're going to see the U.S. and all these other countries shutting down the nuclear weapons of these other countries, all right? And even if they do launch them, we will still shoot them down unless it's like a hypersonic missile and we can't really stop it, or the defense system doesn't work. But at the end, I just really see the United States and the rest of the world coming on top of Russia and China, and then Russia and China are going to get sanctioned hard, and they're going to surrender just like Germany in World War II, you know? But at the end of the day, this is just my opinion on what would happen. You know, at the end of the day, nothing could really happen. I don't really think we're going to get into a third world war, because all I think is going to happen is if Russia does invade, they're just going to face the sanctions, team up with China, and that'll be the end of it for the next 20 to 30 years, you know? That's how I really feel about this whole situation. But, I could be wrong, and I guess time will have to tell. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a comment, like, and subscribing to me here on the Joey Gaming YouTube channel. I do videos like this every single day. If you don't like my content, if you don't like my content in the future, you guys could always unsubscribe. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and see ya. Peace. Bye.